Told my mother-in-law she chose Tom's ex over her family after years of disrespect, and now she wants to meet my kids. I, 33F, and my husband Tom, 35 male, have been NC with most of his family for 3 years. Within those 3 years, I've had twin boys, which has made my mill try to get back in contact with me. There's a lot of history, but here's a brief summary of why Tom and I are NC, and it all revolves around Tom's ex, who we'll call Talia. So, I am Indian American, and Tom is white. He comes from a pretty traditional family, and grew up in a small town. Talia was Mill's best friend's daughter, and they were the small town romance everybody envied. However, upon meeting in college, Tom and I just clicked on a platonic level, and to be honest, I didn't even have feelings for Tom until 4 dates in. I guess you could say he had an emotional affair, but he never did anything physically romantic until he broke up with Talia. Talia, of course, remained in contact with his family since she had been, according to Mill, the daughter she always wanted. Keep in mind, Tom has a sister. But, Talia is more of a homemaker, while my Sil, who is an absolute angel, and I had always been more career-focused. Talia had been at every holiday, family gathering, and get-together since the very start of the relationship, and at first I paid it no mind. I was civil to Talia because Mill made it clear Talia mattered to her, despite Talia's blatant distaste and disrespectful attitude towards me. That changed at my weddings. We had 2, and my parents footed the bill for both. The dress code was simple, aside from the obvious no white/wedding party colors rule, nobody was supposed to wear red. I am well aware that red means you slept with the groom, but more importantly, red is a bridal color in my culture. I wore a red lehenga and sari to my Indian wedding, which she wore an eggshell, off-white, dress too. Keep in mind, white is worn at funerals to represent purity in my culture. That got my aunties and cousins talking, but I still had a blast since I really didn't care. I did care when she showed up to the American ceremony in a floor-length, apple red gown with a slit going up the leg. It was a bridesmaid's dress, and it violated the dress code. My Sil, along with Tom, went to tell her to change. She did leave after having a hushed argument and came back in a tea-length green gown. I assume she just wanted to see if she could get away with it. Apparently, my auntie saw this too. Which meant Talia was subjected to stares, whispers, and backhanded giggle fits throughout my whole American wedding. It made Talia feel embarrassed and she cried to Mill, who went to me and told me to keep my kind in line. To this, I crossed my arms and told her that maybe Talia should have stayed in her lane, that she knew not to wear red for multiple, but mostly cultural, reasons, and it wasn't my fault my family is shaming her. It isn't my fault she became cannon fodder for my gossiping gaggle of a family. Yes, I said those words since that is what my aunties are. Those were the consequences of her actions. Tom and Sil backed me up, and Mill left with Talia before dessert. The next day there was a social media post from Talia, crying about how she was exiled from her best friend's wedding because the bride was jealous. I made a post back, telling her that she wore red, knowing how inappropriate it was. How her best friend is her ex, and to not sugarcoat what she did. I then tagged my Mill in a separate post with screenshots of Talia's post and told her this was the last straw, and that I have been disrespected by Talia from the very beginning of my relationship, and that now that I was her dill, she needed to keep Talia away from family events and holidays since she doesn't respect my husband and I. I didn't care if they still went on weekly shopping sprees or spa days, just keep her away from Christmas and barbecues. Talia removed her post after being publicly called out. Mill was good on this compromise until 3 years ago, after Talia came to Thanksgiving with a pie and a plastered smile, a Thanksgiving that I was hosting. She said something along the lines of Mill invited me and I wanted to make sure Mill can actually eat something, since I know you tend to cook ethnic food. I slammed the door in her face, went over to Mill, and told her she could leave with Talia, who had just slammed the door on. Tom looked at his mom, who had this deer in the headlights look. She tried to sputter excuses, and my Phil tried to defend my Mill, but Tom stood firm. He said they had lost access to him, and any extension of him, since they chose Talia. My in-laws, aside from Sil, left, and we haven't spoken since. Fast forward to last week, I got a text from an unknown number, and it was Mill. She said she saw a picture of my boys from a mutual friend's post, and wanted to reconcile. She said she'd keep Talia away this time, and that ever since she got cut off, she's been in minimal contact with Talia anyway. Her Facebook begs to differ. I told her as much, saying I knew BS when I smelt it, and she made her choice. I told Tom about it, and asked if he missed his family. He shrugged, saying he doesn't care, and it's been relieving not having his mom around. He's the youngest son of 3, so he was always the baby boy. But, I have since received texts from my Bills, their wives, and my Phil begging for a second chance. She always wanted to be a grandma, and I do feel like I'm robbing her of a chance. Her other sons haven't had children yet, and Sil cut her off when we did. But, you can't undo nearly a decade of disrespect with wishes and wants. And Talia is still in the picture, so I'm skeptical about how long that promise will last. I feel like I'm being calloused, but there are so many stories I can tell about Talia's disregard for Tom's boundaries, and mine. And I don't want to welcome a storm into my house by opening up the gates. Ada for telling my Mill she made her choice after she kept my husband's ex around? Edit, since there seems to be some confusion, I want to clarify Tom did not cheat on Talia with me. Tom broke up with Talia after a few platonic hangouts with me. That is why I said you could call it an emotional affair, because you could argue it was one, loosely. Tom only asked me out after he broke up with Talia, and I accepted after he confirmed via texts he had broken up with her while visiting home for the weekend. There was no overlap between Talia's relationship and mine with Tom. Update 1. St off, Tom didn't cheat on me. The timeline goes as followed. Tom and Talia were originally forced to hang out since childhood and Talia developed a crush. The two got together in 7th grade, Tom left for college and met me, we hung out, just platonic, and had stuff in common, more stuff in common than Talia and he went home and broke things off with her, he asked me out the following week, and it took 4 dates before I actually started to view him as a serious potential partner. See, no interlap of relationships, no affair, no reason for all those comments saying I was an off for being the other woman. Also, thanks for the people who defended me against these people. And before anybody says you're being awfully defensive, you must have cheated. I'm defensive because I view adultery as a crime nobody can come back from. In my culture, adultery is very common. I believe studies showed 55% of married Indians have committed it, and so it is a sensitive subject. Also to clarify, Talia is the one who wore the white dress to the Indian wedding, and attempted to wear the red dress to the American wedding. I know a few people were confused on that too. We have remained NC with Mill. After receiving a few more messages from that number, Tom and I formulated a reply that was along the lines of this. Dear Mill, you have repeatedly showed you don't care about Tom and I's feelings regarding multiple things. I'm sorry if our relationship broke apart, that fantasy you had with Talia being your dill, but the fact is it wasn't going to happen. Talia has been a constant thorn in our relationship. Both you and her have been passive-aggressive, rude, oblivious, and snide in your remarks and actions towards us. You said you would refuse to come to the weddings if Talia was not invited, which you knew would make Tom look bad to my elders, who unlike you, have since accepted him as one of our own. You allowed Talia to berate me, comment about me, joke about me, and if I ever tried to joke back, you would say that's not nice, she was just joking. Funny how jokes were pretty one way in that house. You made it very clear that Talia is the daughter you always wanted, hence why Sil cut contact when we did. The only reason your sons stay is because they know if they leave, then you'll die with no kids too. Mourn you, since you nitpick their wives now that I am no longer around to be the scapegoat. I have screenshots of everything between you and Talia, and texts from the both of you, mocking ones and threatening ones. If you try to come after me for grandparents' rights, I will get my attorney and I will make sure you keep your racist ass away from my family. With all due respect, please leave us alone. You were fine not talking to us before we had kids, maybe Talia can finally move on and give you grandkids. Sincerely, the Op family. I then blocked their numbers and set all my socials to private. Tom did as well, and we have talked to family about going private and unfriending people who may have ties to Mill or Talia. Things have been quiet since then. I know Talia has seen the post, since she screenshot the post and sent it to Tom via one of those apps you can get a spare number through. He sent a few laughing emojis before telling her he knows about the post and blocking her. Tom has always had my back like this. Even if Talia was in the picture, he and Sil would do little things to show we were a united front. I know a lot of people gave Tom flack in the last post for not standing up for me, but keeping my mill in check was like a circus act, and my aunties are gossips to their cores. Once, during a family barbecue, Talia spilled cola on my sundress, and Tom accidentally poured his water over her head while talking to Sil as they walked past. It was like a cold war, and as of right now, we finally seem to be winning. I got a message saying that Talia coming to my weddings was comparable to Camilla going to Diana and Charles' wedding, and now that I look back at it, it kind of was. Only, Talia will always be the XXD. If Mill or Talia does something. Mini update, about 2 weeks after our last round of blocks, I woke up to a text from my Sil, who is apparently an insomniac like me. The message just read, "You need to see this." Attached, a screenshot from a local Facebook group in Mills Town, posted under some random small town mama's page. It was my twins' photo, an old one, nothing private, but captioned, "Missing grandma moments." Some people are so cruel. Family means everything. With a very familiar profile, Mill, posting through what I can only assume is a burner account, Grammy Hopes 45, subtle. I know this might seem mild to some, but in their small town, stuff like this is like firing a cannon in a library. It immediately got all the questions going. Mill's flying monkeys, people I haven't seen since the wedding debacle, started sleuthing, and suddenly my polite digital life was full of friend requests, vague angry messages, and even some posts shading certain people who take kids away from their roots. Even my mom got a concerned DM from someone claiming to be a family friend asking if I was struggling as a new mom and needed extended family support, with a link to, I kid you not, Mill's burner profile. I ignored it for a couple days, hoping it'd blow over. Spoiler, it absolutely did not. Because next, I got a certified letter, never a good sign. It was a handwritten plea from Mill, no legal action, but full of color-printed photos of her with Tom as a baby, and a letter that alternated between "I want to be there for the boys" and "Talia is like another daughter, and she'll always be in my life, but I'll make time for you too." All in completely loopy, theatrical handwriting. It ended with, "Don't punish the innocent for the mistakes of the past. We all make them. Haven't you ever longed for a mother's love? I actually have a fantastic relationship with my own mom. So, no, but here's where it gets wild. A week later, Tom gets a work call. It's a client, random, never met Mill. The guy says, "Hey, I heard your mom's trying to get in touch, something about not seeing your twins?" Tom, professional as ever, laughs it off, but the client admits, "Dude, your old girlfriend's mom came into my shop last week and asked if I'd mention your family to you." So now Mill and Talia's mom are literally recruiting local businesses into their guilt campaign. Small towns, y'all. But nothing compares to what happened Saturday. We'd just gotten our favorite takeout and started Bluey for the boys, and us, let's be honest, when our doorbell absolutely explodes. Seriously, someone hammering the button over and over. Tom peeks through the window, literally freezes, and silently mouths it's them. I see Mill, Talia, Phil, and Talia's mom awkwardly clustered on the doorstep. They drove 3 hours, unannounced. Since we'd planned for drama, we'd already installed one of those video doorbell things. I buzzed it and said, "We told you no contact. This is trespassing." Mill starts in, voice trembling, "You can't keep us from our grandsons. We brought gifts. We just want to meet them." Talia mutters, loud enough for the voicemail, "Maybe you should have thought of that before you treated us like lepers." I swear she was wearing the same eggshell color as our first wedding, but maybe that's just my brain playing tricks. Tom handled it like a champ. He called the non-emergency line, explained our history, and asked for the visit to be documented, just in case. The police eventually talked Mill's group off the porch. No one was arrested, but the officer asked them not to return or further harass us. You'd think this would be the end, but of course, nope. 2 hours later, I got a flurry of text messages, a string of them, this time clearly from my Bill's wife. "Look, I know this is a disaster, but Mill is devastated. Talia's mom is threatening to expose your family situation on Facebook if you don't let the boys meet Mill. She says she knows things." Apparently, Talia's mom is circulating a throwback, rewritten version of the scandalous way Tom and I got together. The same tired other woman lies, but this time amped up with a bizarre cultural angle that makes me look like an evil seductress who stole Tom with exotic food. The post went up, and the comment section went wild. A mix of "let grandma see the kids" and "how dare you import drama into our town." I had to take a deep breath and laugh at import drama. Wow, what a phrase. Tom, who is officially out of FCKS, went on a spree. He called his brothers. He called his dad. He said, "You either shut this down, or you'll never hear from us again. This is your mom and Talia's show, we're out." His brothers, to their credit, were mortified. The younger one even texted me with, "Did you really win Tom with secret family recipes? Recipe Plaza? Lol." But then, that night, I got a message. From Talia. She'd made a new Instagram burner. I recognized her dog. She'd sent a selfie of her awkwardly holding the exact same pie from 3 years ago. Caption, "Some flavors, you just never get over." I wanted to throw my phone out the window. Through all of this, Sil was an absolute hero. She texted every single family member with a call-out post, explaining the years of disrespect, racism, boundary pushing, and how Tom and I only wanted space. She actually got through to a few extended relatives, who called Mill out and publicly supported us. One even commented on Mill's small-town mama's post, "If you love your son, show it by respecting his choices." Mic drop. And after all this, after the front porch drama, the Facebook mudslinging, the weird guilt trip letters, guess what? I got a real apology. Not from Mill, not from Talia, but from my Phil. He sent a letter, typed, concise, respectful, admitting that he'd enabled this mess by never setting boundaries, that he was embarrassed by the circus that erupted, and that he understood why Tom and I cut them off. He even asked, politely, if he could send a package for the boys, with no expectation that they'll ever be told where it came from. He also said that Mill was not herself these days, and that maybe, after this, she might finally see what real consequences look like. For once, I felt like maybe someone over there got it. So, that's where we are. The Cold War is hotter than ever, but officially, the only person we'll let near our kids is Sil, and, if he keeps it up, maybe a quietly contrite Phil. As for Mill and Talia? Talia's now changed her profile pic to the infamous red dress, and Mill's newest burner has a bio of, "A grandma's love knows no boundaries." It's almost poetic. If you hear about me in the news, woman blockaded her home with boxes of Diwali sweets and homemade pie, just know I'm doing fine. Seriously though, I think this was the meltdown that needed to happen. Sometimes people have to hit emotional rock bottom to start climbing out, and if they won't, well, I'm busy just living my best drama-free life with my lovely, pro-boundaries husband and my 2 little mischief makers. Update 2. After the last Facebook Cold War, things were blessedly, eerily quiet for about 3 weeks. I focused on my work, summer wrangling the twins, and managed to get through a whole weekend without an alarm bell from a burner account or a distant cousin's concerned PM. Tom and I even joked we'd finally achieved dictator-level blocking skills. Then we got a message from my younger Bill, a group chat SOS with Tom, Sil, and me. Heads up, small town summer days is this weekend, and just Look, he sent a flyer, posted all over his group chats, advertising a family heritage pie bake-off, hosted at the very community center where Tom grew up. The sponsor? The local Roots Club. And who's beaming, and poorly photoshopped, face, smiling like she's won the Nobel, was headline and center under special guest judge, Grammy Helen. Yup. Mill. But wait for it, the event description called it a celebration of local family traditions and long-held connections. Talia's mom, co-chair. Now, this is a town where news travels so fast it could put Twitter out of business. Our phones instantly started pinging, my cousin, my best friend, even an old teacher of Tom's. Are you coming to Pie Day? Are you in the pie contest? Why is your Mill wearing a world's best grandma apron in the promo? Curious, I did a little recon. The town event's Facebook, now infamous in this saga, featured a post with pictures of people's heritage desserts, apple pies, rhubarb tarts, and, dead center, the pie. The pie. The one Talia had brought to our Thanksgiving. The caption, handed down from my honorary daughter, for my cherished grandbabies. Family ties are forever. Comments ranged from can't wait to taste, Grammy, to a suspicious I thought op made that won a few years ago? Hashtag curious of course. Tom's response was, I'm dying to see who shows up for this bake-off. It's not even a real club, but as the event drew nearer, the subtle small town shenanigans escalated. Monday, my mom receives an invite in the mail. You're cordially invited to bring the twins to Summer Days Pie Bake-Off. We hope you enjoy proper American desserts. She laughed so hard she nearly dropped her chai. Wednesday, a neighbor asks if Tom wants to reclaim his birthright as Pie Prince, whatever on earth that means. Thursday, we spot on Instagram, thanks to an incognito friend, that Talia's baking practice pies, caption carrying forward traditions even if some people don't care. Saturday rolls around. We were not going. But when family ghosts get this insistent, the only option is to triple lock your doors, right? Right? Except, our amazing Sil calls with you know you're kind of the honorary villain of this year's festival, right? Apparently, someone's been telling everyone that the twins are being denied their heritage by me, and Mill has been dropping not so subtle hints at the festival forums that maybe, with enough community spirit, we can heal old wounds. There are even vote for Grammy's pie buttons with cartoon twin boys on them, blonde curls but, I kid you not, with tiny gold bindies. Subtle. If you're howling at this point, so were we. By mid-afternoon, Sil calls from the festival, barely concealing laughter. You guys just won Best in Show, and you weren't even here, because, here's the new drama plot twist, Talia, in full pie queen regalia and that eggshell dress from our wedding, tried to present her recipe and was, accidentally, entered in the Heritage Pies from Elsewhere category, curated by Tom's old home EC teacher, legend. The home EC teacher, who was very aware of our situation, shared a little speech about respecting where traditions come from, and who actually owns them. Then, just as Mill was preparing for her big healing speech, the teacher called up the original recipe introducer, me. The whole crowd turned, awkwardly looking for me. Tom's cousin, one of our rare local allies, actually stepped up, took the mic, and said, they're living their lives elsewhere and not interested in this drama. Mill's face, apparently, was a study in grape sourness. Talia burst into inexplicable tears, and the festival MC, the town's retired librarian, had to gently shepherd them off stage with a joke about baking therapy. I didn't even have to do anything. Later that night, Tom's youngest Bill sent a text, you won Pie Fest from your couch. Respect. Followed by a photo of Mill wandering with her untouched pie, no ribbon, and two elderly women glaring daggers at the world's best grandma sash. The cherry on top, I get a Facebook message from Talia, another burner, 3 days later, a poem about lost love, stolen recipes, and family torn apart by secrets. I blocked her so fast I think my phone whined in protest. Phil, meanwhile, quietly Venmo'd us for the twins' new library cards. He included a note, real legacy is what you leave for your kids. Proud of yours. I'm officially Team Phil, with boundaries, of course. So here's where we stand. Talia has now apparently started a GoFundMe for therapy and self-care after family trauma, featuring that same blurry pie pic, and is so far $21 richer. Mill has moved on to passive-aggressive posts about the empty nest, the sour grapes, and the missed moments, just subtle enough for plausible deniability. Rumor has it, in small-town circles, that the next festival theme is global flavors of heritage, and if I get an invite, I might make my famous samosas, for my kids, in my own kitchen, far, far away from the drama. Final update? I have literally never done less and achieved more. Block, bake, repeat. Update 3. About 5 days after the Heritage Pie Bake-Off, the town's group page, still writing its post-event gossip high, erupted again. This time, a user calling herself True Roots Heart posted a lengthy, emoji-studded diatribe. The pain of being erased from my grandson's life is unbearable. Family isn't about secrets or foreign customs, it's about sticky fingers and shared breakfasts. Pray for me. Underneath, a photo collage. And in the lower left corner, unmistakably, a professionally shot image of my twins at their first birthday, which I'd only shared privately. My jaw hit the floor. Mill, because it had to be Mill, had gotten the photo from the same friend who overshares I'd already blocked. I DM'd the friend directly, "Please take down anything you have of my kids or we're done." She wrote back, mortified and apologetic, said Mill told her it was for a family album. I felt petty but unfriended on the spot. The group had a heyday. Usual suspects posted, "So sad, grandkids need their grandmother." Others, especially a retired gym teacher who remembered Tom as the nice one, jumped in with, if they wanted contact, they'd reach out. Maybe people should let grown-ups make their own decisions. But the real insanity was yet to come. The following Saturday morning, we awoke to find a package firmly wedged between our storm doors. Inside, a storybook entitled The Grandma Tree, Stories of Roots and Love, inscribed, "For when you're ready for your real family tree." Two little pie king and queen crowns, a dog-eared printout of Talia's family trauma therapy GoFundMe, and, no kidding, a small vial labeled apple pie, essence, a drop of home. I should probably have tossed the lot in the trash, but for some reason, Tom and I just stood in our kitchen and laughed. Our twins made off with the crowns. Tom sniffed the essence, and survived, though he swears it's just cheap vanilla. We took photos and then boxed up the whole thing, storing it as evidence, just in case. I texted Sil, who responded with, "OMG. Unhinged. Next is a musical number on your lawn." I told her if that happened, I wanted her on Triangle. A few days after the package, Sil's phone lit up with a notification from a community healing event, a Facebook Live with Mill and, for extra drama, Talia reading passages from the Grandma Tree while wearing coordinated sage green. Background, a wall of printed stock images of blonde twins. Talia's eyes, puffy from what I assume was recent therapy, glistened as she intoned, "Sometimes love has to fight for its place, but here's where the universe decided to hand me a win." The moderator, an old neighbor with no patience for nonsense, posed a simple question. "So, if your first wish came true and the family reunited, what would you do differently this time?" There was a pause. Mill muttered something about traditions respected on all sides, Talia sniffled about everyone knowing her place, and in real time, the comment section blew up with, "Maybe respect their decisions for once? Why no apology for the red dress? Just let them be happy." Sil, not to be outdone, posted a link in the chat, "How to Respect Adult Children's Boundaries 101. Some required reading." I laughed so hard I woke the twins. For every comment shaming Tom and me, 2 more called out the family's unwillingness to move on. Several old friends even DM'd, "I had no idea it was this bad. I wish you peace." One, a local bakery owner, even offered my mom free chai for life. Mom now officially ships the drama. Meanwhile, Talia's trauma GoFundMe drew ridicule. Someone commented, "I was at the wedding. You wore the red dress. Maybe get therapy for that, not your broken pie dreams?" The page went dark within 24 hours, she was stuck at $38.50. And then, the curveball, Tom gets an email from the small town courier, yep, the town newspaper, requesting an interview with the couple at the center of the pie feud. Apparently, Pie Fest's drama had become the festival's most talked about subplot. "Do you wish to comment on your family's search for reconciliation?" We sat on it for a day. Then, I called their bluff. I sent a politely worded response, "Our only comment is that we wish everyone healing, but boundaries aren't negotiable. There's enough pie to go around for whoever respects those boundaries. Best, Op." The article ran, "The Pie and Prejudice Feud," with a side-by-side of World's Best Grandma and a photo of our twins, thankfully, blurred. Public opinion in the comments was, for once, overwhelmingly on my side, mostly thanks to Sil's efforts and a handful of grumpy aunties who'd seen Mill's antics up close. Talia, of course, reposted the article to her Healing Journey burner Instagram, quoting, "I wish everyone would see the love in my heart." Her dog was still the profile pic. Phil, my new favorite, sent a text, "Thought you'd like today's crossword. Pen across, cut off from family, the answer is NC." I got it in 2 seconds. Where we stand now, we bought new blackout curtains, I finally caved and joined a local Moms Without Drama WhatsApp group, and my twins have learned to sing No Means No. Could come in handy, who knows. Tom, meanwhile, is interviewing for a job further out, one with zero connections to his hometown. We're quietly hopeful this is the last gasp of the Pie Wars. Mill's latest move? She posted a cryptic selfie clutching the grandma tree with the caption, "Some roots stay planted, even when the world tries to yank them up." If she means herself, maybe, but in this household, roots don't twist into other people's homes. So, Reddit, that's still my circus, but at least now, I have compatible clowns. I'm not holding my breath for apologies from Mill or Talia. I'm just quietly, gleefully living an ordinary life with my twins, my champion of a husband, and a fridge full of samosas, and not a single slice of pie.